Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Glory Glory Man United podcast, and welcome to such an extra special episode here, celebrating Manchester United not only qualifying for the Champions League, but doing the double over arch rivals Liverpool for the first time in a decade. So I thought I would get, I know, a number of our regular panelists together for this one, and joining me is Jerry from Cork Raids. How's it going, Jerry?
Absolutely fantastic, Kyle. Really good after yesterday. What a result. Absolutely buzzing with that. So really happy to be on tonight and looking forward to the show.
Yeah, me too. And Phil from Beyond the Pitch is with us again. How's it going, Phil? I think you're on mute. Can't hear you.
Well, I was best part of the show. I'm all good, mate. Thank you very much for having me. Thanks for having me on. Yes, sorry.
So United won 3-2 yesterday against Liverpool. It looked for all the world as if we were going to batter them once we went 2-0 up. And Bruno had a chance to make it 3-0. But typical United, they never do things the easy way. They let Liverpool back into the game with a couple of mistakes. But then the man of the moment, Kobe Manu, popped up with the winner. And how fitting it was after signing a 5-year deal earlier in the week. Of course, it just had to be him, didn't it, Phil?
Absolutely. I mean, I just wonder what Ruben Amorim thinks when he's watching this. If he's not watching it, someone calls him and says United just done the double over Liverpool, which, to be fair, he was 50% of that. But Kobe Manu scored the winner. I mean, if he wouldn't be human if it wasn't, daggers in his soul.
Mm. It's just utterly baffling that he was basically frozen out by Ruben Amorim, and he's been flying under Michael Carrick. Obviously, took him a bit of time to build up his match fitness and get back to his best form because he'd been out for 6 months and hardly played. But now he's at his full fitness and he's on top of his game. 2 matches was superb, and now he was brilliant again, and he kept it off the goal this time. I was thinking to myself, he's due a goal, and I know some of my friends were saying that as well, and he got it. And it's obviously not the first time that he scored against Liverpool at Old Trafford. He scored in a few important games and against rivals for United. He has a habit of doing that, and yeah, it's fantastic to see he's very much on top of his game at the moment. And the scary thing is for our rivals is that he could get better than this. So let's rewind back to the start of the match. United taking the lead through Mateus Cunha after second bite of the cherry. First effort was blocked, and the second one with the left foot he hit into the ground and it was deflected off McAllister into the net, but they all count, of course. And then within minutes we were 2-0 up. I thought Šeško should have had a penalty. I think he was pulled back, and then when the ball was played in again by Shaw, Bruno plays it back across goal, comes off Šeško's chest and into the net. But you might say it was a lucky goal, but he created that luck because he was a number 9 where number 9 should be. And Liverpool wanted it disallowed for handball, but for me, it's no handball, and they wouldn't have wanted it disallowed if it happened at the other end. I mean, it was inconclusive. They looked at it from different angles of VAR, and there's no conclusive evidence that the ball touched his fingers, so they had to give the goal, and I thought it was the correct decision in the end. So I was a bit peeved after Kanate pushed Šeško down the slope at Old Trafford. There's a big, massive hill. It's quite unique at Old Trafford. And as Carrick explained after the game, it aggravated a shin injury, and that's why he had to come off. And of course, Kanate should have been punished for that. And that basically got Liverpool back into the game because it was Ahmad who came on for Šeško and then gave away the ball that led to them pulling the goal back. So to me, there's absolutely no way that Kanate should have got away with that. If he pushed someone down a hill, there has to be some kind of card for that, Jerry.
Yeah, it was, first of all, it was dangerous because Konate knew what he was doing there. He knows the side of the pitch has that big slope. And when both players are running at speed, it's dangerous to put your hands on someone's back and just push them like that. And I think we saw on the replay that he's back absolutely clattered into the advertising hoarding behind the goal. And that's quite dangerous. You've heard of stories in the past in non-league where players can get really serious injuries and even worse. I've heard of one player that hit his head one time and it didn't end too well for the lad. So I think it's a little bit irresponsible of Konate, but then again, he knows his teammates and the fans will love it. A Liverpool player pushing a United player into the hoardings like that is going to get a big cheer in the away end. So, it was disappointing he wasn't carded. You thought maybe the ref would see it as a little bit irresponsible play, but look, it inadvertently changed the game, probably in Liverpool's favour, and hopefully Seshko's injury turns out to be not too bad. But Ahmed came on and took a while to get into the game and gave that stray pass, which allowed Szoboszlai to go on and score. So it wasn't a great introduction from Ahmed, whose form hasn't been good with the last number of months anyway. But yeah, maybe in another game, the ref could have gone back and had a look at that and given Konate a card. That'd be my opinion. I don't know what Phil thinks.
I just wonder what the referee thought how Sesko ended up down there. I mean, did he think he just tripped and fell himself? I mean, clearly he was pushed. But I'm amazed that, excuse me, the Premier League allowed United to get away with that. I understand they do it for drainage, but that is a disaster waiting to happen. So obviously a disaster waiting to happen. And inevitably it will be used against United players as it will be against opposition. I mean, we all remember Di Maria flying down that ditch. It is bizarre that it's allowed to happen because it is really a serious hazard, and United players getting injured as a result of being pushed down that drainage slope. I don't understand how something hasn't been done about it, but this is the thing. I mean, people talk about Sesko's goal and whether it should have been counted or not. If it turns out that it was a penalty, I don't know, was it Van Dijk was one-on-one with Sesko? That's a sending off if he's pulled back. So in some ways, it actually done Liverpool a favour by it not being given. But as far as the Sesko going down, how did the referee think he ended up down there?
I know, but I've watched games before in which Darren England has officiated, and there's always a mistake, always a major mistake made by him. I don't think he's a good referee at all, like most of them. But I think it was the other centre half who fouled Shesko in the build up to that goal. Well, I think it was it Konate? Yeah, it must have been him because he was the one who started the game. Yeah, but great to see Shesko score against one of the big teams. I think that's his first goal against one of the big teams. So he's been contributing against other opponents, but you obviously want to see your big signings score against your rivals, and he has now done that. They all count. A bit of a scruffy goal, but for me, it hit his chest, so it's a goal. But hopefully, he's able to play in the next couple of games. He may be touch and go, given that injury. Carrick said it was a sore one, so he's in a lot of pain. But he might be fine. He might be fine for Sunderland. We'll see what happens. But how brilliant would it have been if we'd have scored from that wonderful touch by Bruno, and then the ball he plays into Mbeumo, who backheeled it against the post? We'd have been talking about that for decades if we'd have scored that. That would have been an amazing goal if it went in. But it wasn't to be. And Brahim Mbeumo needs a goal. There's him and Ahmad. They're struggling to find form at the moment, and they could do with finding the back of the net. As you alluded to, Ahmad has been struggling for weeks, and he looked pretty deflated. I seen a video of him leaving the ground after the game yesterday, and he looked very down. After considering United won 3-2, but maybe that's just a reflection of the form he's in. We don't know what's going on off the pitch either in his life. But yeah, Cunha, what a signing he's been, Phil.
Quintessential big game player. You know, you talk about Sesko not scoring in big games. Cunha's the opposite. Cunha's someone that shows up in every big game, scores big games, scores key moments in big games. I mean, to be fair to Big Sesko, most of his goals have been key contributions, have been key moments that have been decision makers, deciding goals. You know, the goal at home against Crystal Palace, goal against Brentford, the goal against Fulham, the goal, yesterday. They've all been key game deciding goals. So it's not just the fact that he's scoring goals; it's the fact that he's scoring important key goals as well. How's it going, man? My mama or something like that. Nice comment there. Thank you very much. But as far as Cunha goes, we want to leave one. As far as Cunha goes, I love him. I mean, there's just so much he brings beyond the goals. And he's a personification of what United signings have been, which is one of the reasons why they've been much better this season. He's a player that really wanted to come to United over everyone else. He wanted to come to a team that finished 15th, remember? So he is very deserving of United's current predicament. That's been one of the key fundamental changes to United signings is that they're all players that want to come. Harry Maguire wants to take a pay cut to stay. All the signings in the past were based on, trying to pay more than the opposition, trying to entice players for ridiculous incentives that have nothing to do with football. Instead, United are signing players that want to be there, which will be the same this summer. So, Cunha, give me 3 or 4 more of him this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Last summer we finished 15th and weren't in Europe, and any player that came to the club was obviously desperate to play for United. I think one thing that I did agree with Amram on is that you don't want players who are just coming to play in the Champions League. They should be coming to play for Man United.
Oh, you know
That's
about
exactly
coming to
what we
play in the
got last
Champions
summer.
League? Fuck's sake. You don't have to worry about that. We have Marine, for sure.
But welcome to the show, Brush. Great to have you on. So the panel is finally complete. Because I wanted to bring everybody together tonight, all the regular contributors, because it's such a special occasion. With United doing the double of Liverpool, first time in 10 years, and qualifying for the Champions League. So I want to get everybody's thoughts on that, and obviously everybody's going to be in great form. So, Brushy, Michael Carrick has won 10 of his 14 matches in charge. Is that enough for him to get the job?
First of all, apologies for the lateness, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. Do you know what? It's quite fitting that Phil is here because I remember the last show we were on together. It was just as Amram was getting sacked and we didn't know where the next 3 points were coming from. And yeah, because we were going into those Man City and Liverpool games not knowing how we were going to do. And yeah, Carrick's, he's worked miracles, really. Shows the stubbornness of Amarim as well and what can be achieved by just doing the simple things, just reverting to a formation the players are more familiar with. Kobe as well was criminally underused, and look what he's capable of doing. So for that alone, he probably should have been sacked. Yeah, incredible to do the double over Liverpool. The game was probably a lot more comfortable than the scoreline suggested as well. I thought we really could have put them to the sword. I was kind of annoyed by the goals we conceded. Lemens, especially for that second goal. I noticed a similar mistake against Leeds as well, so that's something that he needs to work on. He needs to be aware of his surroundings when playing the ball. On that occasion, he got saved by Leacher. Yeah, I think we've spoken at length about the manager before, Carl. My preference would have been somebody of the highest experience to come in. But if that's not available, then I don't see anything wrong in keeping Michael on, at least for a season.
Yeah, if we're not going to get a Luis Enrique in this window, then we may as well stick with what we got because he's doing exceptionally well as the interim manager. And if it ain't broke, then you don't fix it. And if you can't get one of Europeans' elite coaches, then you just stick with Carrick. And, it's going really well. And if we were to bring in say we brought in Nagelsmann in the summer and he doesn't start well, all the fans would be saying, "Why didn't we keep Carrick?" So
Exactly. So it probably makes sense to give him a chance and to see how this goes. We understand that, this season we're out of all the competitions and whatnot, so the pressure's not the same. So the pressure of managing this club is going to be totally different come September. You're expected to, battle on all fronts and whatnot. But yeah, at this moment in time, if we can't get the absolute best in class, then you might as well just not rock the boat. Might as well see how this goes.
Yeah, and I'm ready to get on board. Carrick's at the wheel. And guys, how exciting is it that in September we're going to be hearing the Champions League music at Old Trafford again? I mean,
it's about damn time.
I know.
Let's be honest, guys. We've had more history in the Europa League over the last decade.
Phil, I know you absolutely hate the Europa League anthem, don't you?
Yeah, I'd rather take a bath with a toaster and listen to that fucking thing again, to be honest. Honestly, I've had enough of that stuff. I hear that coming on the TV, and honestly, I hate that anthem, and that's a competition that's harder to get out of than it is to get into it. It's not something that I want to see United in for quite a while. Look, United have to make sure that the team they build this summer guarantees that this is not a question again 12 months from now or 24 months from now, that this is a team that will routinely finish in the top three. If they're going to fail, it'll be third, but capable of challenging the top two, because I don't think the top two are that particularly good.
No, I don't think that City and Arsenal have been that impressive this season overall. It's been more of an even season really in the Premier League. Anyone could beat anyone. I don't think there's been any standout teams, and I don't think it's impossible for United to overhaul City and Arsenal, and even next season if we get the signings absolutely right. Like if we manage to bring in an Elliot Anderson, I think that's a game changer for United and bring us much closer to City and Arsenal. And City could be relegated. That's still a massive possibility. And Arsenal, they don't.
You think
don't
City will
scare
be
me.
relegated? There's no chance that'll happen.
Probably more wishful thinking than anything, isn't it, Kyle?
If they don't want to punish City.
Yeah, they've got too much money. I think the Premier League have come out and said that we're gonna have to conclude this soon because they can't keep fighting this. It's already. I think Man City have already thrown in over 200 million in legal fees and everything.
But this is an issue where the Premier League really need to have certain contracts where they have certain arbitration rates, about where they have dealt with this expeditiously, because what does this message does it send to everyone else? What if you do? Don't break one rule, break 115, because we'll all be dead by the time it gets adjudicated. We have murderers getting tried quicker.
I think what's annoying as well, Phil, is the fact that when it comes to other clubs, they seem to be taking action a lot quicker.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Point deductions for Nottingham Forest, Everton.
And this is the problem. Once you nice establish precedent, so they're going to end up giving City a points deduction for the start of a season. Transfer window ban. It'll be something like 12 points. City will write off a season, and that'll be it.
It would have to be a significant ban in the transfer window as well, because we've seen Chelsea in the past when they faced an embargo. They just did all their shopping in January instead.
Look, regulatory capture is a very real thing, right? So, of course, I have no doubt that FFP was regulatory capture, certainly prior to 2010-11, before Ansley, McCatchclill and all that. No one was concerned about FFP, and financial doping is rife in football. Media said financially doped AC Milan, Pirelli financially doped Inter, Fiat financially doped Juventus. It's been everywhere, but the problem is that everyone could do it. Pablo Escobar on football clubs in Colombia. It's not like football has a glittering track record for financial transparency. FIFA was up to its neck in financial corruption. So I sort of feel for City a bit. And this happens in every industry where, the top companies, you see Facebook doing it here, creating regulation not to regulate themselves, but to keep competition out. I have no doubt that was the whole raison d'etre of FFP. But City signed up to it, and to me, it's a farce that we're still talking about this, and we're still talking about this because the Premier League don't know how to resolve it. They're clearly guilty, right? I mean, the probability that all that inculpatory evidence exists and they're not guilty is almost zero.
Yeah, Phil, this conversation reminds me of something that you said a while ago, in that in order to be a football fan in 2026, you need to pass the bar exam.
I haven't passed many bars, I think, in my time, right? But no, you need to have an understanding of financial nomenclature and legal, and it shouldn't be this way. The FA can't write a piece of financial legislation to protect lower league football clubs from financial chicanery, but they can certainly suspend you for saying "fuck off" to a referee.
Yeah, I've seen City, for example, Haaland absolutely berating the referee. His mouth had to be blurred out. He was swearing that much at the ref, and he wasn't punished. We've seen Rodri call the referee a cheat, and he wasn't punished. Yet Maguire says you lot are an effing joke, and he gets a ban. Anyway, we'll move on. We don't want to talk about negatives, so we're in a positive mood. So Jerry, I haven't heard from you in a while. So I'll ask you a question. Eden Heaven has been really, really good in the last 3 games, and 2 of those have been against Chelsea and Liverpool. Martinez's ban is now over. Does Heaven start against Sunderland, or does Martinez come straight back in?
For me, I'd keep Heaven in the team. I think he's earned his spot through his performances, and it took him a while to get a chance under Michael Carrick, but when he has done, he hasn't let us down. He was excellent when he came in from the cold against Chelsea, and you have to remember that was his first start in about 3 months at that stage, and he slotted in seamlessly, as if he was never away. What I love is how hard he goes into a tackle. He reminds me of a young Wes Brown almost, just clatters man, ball, everything. And he's got a good left foot as well at bringing the ball out. So that's what I like about him. I was at the game against Brentford last Monday night, and his recovery pace is quite impressive. And at the moment, I'd have him ahead of Lenny Yoro in terms of development. I think he's really coming on at a quick rate. So I'd keep him in the team, and I'd give Martinez a chance to kind of ease his way back, and give him maybe the last game or 2 of the season, because we want to keep him fit as well. So why not give Eden Heaven an extended run?
Yeah, I suppose the last 3 games does give us an opportunity to give Heaven more experience. Unfortunately for Dorgu, by the time he builds up his match fitness again, the season's going to be over. But another thing these final 3 games gives us, and we want to finish third. I think we need one more win to cement that, I think. Another player I want to see more of in these 3 games is Shea Lacey, if he is fit, that is. He wasn't on the bench yesterday, but he's a very, very exciting prospect, and surely there's an opportunity to give him minutes. Phil, what do you think?
Look, if Carrick had the job already, I think you would guarantee see some academy players played between now and the end of the season, but he's going to be mindful of not wanting to finish the season off the back of a couple of defeats, and then trying to go into a job interview, even though it shouldn't come down to what happens in the last few games. Eating bread soon forgotten, and so the fact that you've qualified for the Champions League, that the happiness from that derivative will have been long worn off by the time Carrick sits down to discuss his particular job. I think I agree with what Jerry was saying there about Eden Heaven being ahead of Lenny Yoro. I mean, it's remarkable. Plus, Eden Heaven's a left-footed centre back, which makes him priceless. I'd like to see maybe Shea Lacey get a game. Obviously, there's talk about United needing a third centre midfielder to emerge from the academy. We'd like to see maybe one of the Fletchers or someone else from in midfield get a game or two between now and the end of the season. But there's a £5.2 million difference between finishing third and finishing fifth. So Michael Carrick will be under pressure to make sure they finish third. They should finish third no matter what. But these 3 games aren't a dead rubber for Carrick.
No, I agree with you. While he's still temporary manager, he needs to finish as high as possible in the
Look at
league,
Jerry.
and you probably see.
Is Jerry's picture frozen on your screen?
Yeah, he has frozen my screen as well. Can you still hear us, Jerry?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
Frozen there, it's class.
Yeah, we're just looking at a picture of you now.
God.
Yeah, so what were we talking about again? I lost my train of thought there.
We're talking about Ian Heaven. We're talking about the young players, and these last 3 games won't be a dead rubber for Carrick. So,
Yeah, I think against Sunderland, we're still going to see the same team that started against Liverpool, more or less. I think once third place has been cemented, because I don't think we're going to finish any higher than that unless there's a total collapse from Manchester City. I think once we've cemented third place, then we might see Shea Lacey maybe start a game. Potentially the last game of the season against Brighton, Shea Lacey might start that. Hopefully, anyway. Because he's been very exciting in any cameo appearance that he had back in January. So he's a hell of a talent, and we want to see more of him and want to see him get more experience. Now, Saint Lamens has been a revelation this season. What a sign, what a bargain. And he made a mistake yesterday with his distribution, but he's allowed to have a mistake given what he has done for United this season and how different he has been from Onana and Bayindir. So we can absolutely forgive him for that, especially if we won the game anyway. And he still has yet to make a mistake with his hands. You felt like Onana and Bayindir were doing that every single week. So yeah, I have no issue with what he did yesterday. It's goalkeepers are being asked by coaches to play the ball out from the back, and now and again that's going to happen, unfortunately. So I'm not going to get on his back for that, to be honest. So to me, he's allowed the odd mistake, given how pivotal he has been to United being where they are this season. Like, for example, if Onana played this whole season in goal, what do
We'll
you
be
think
back
United
down in
would be in
15th.
League Brush?
We'll be back down in
Yeah,
15th.
yeah.
No, listen, he's been a revelation. Considering the young man's come over from Belgium as well, he's taken to the league very well. He settled in nicely. But my only concern, like I say, is the fact that if it happens once, fair enough. It's happened twice now, so it is something that they need to address. Just because in high intensity situations, it can make the difference between a win and a draw. We can't afford to do that. But he's very young, so he's got time on his hands. Goalkeepers, well, traditionally anyway, they used to come into their own into their 30s. So he's more than got time on his hands to fix these things. And I think he'll be even better with a proper centre back pairing in front of him that's settled. Because I don't think we can name a pairing as such now. It's all a bit of a mix up and a rotation, isn't it? No one really stands out.
I thought that was a good shout. By the way, I forgot it, Bruce, that he done that against Leeds, and I was trying to remember where that was triggered.
Yeah, because Leach saved him in that one. Leach saved him in that one.
He did, and I remember when he did it yesterday. I'm going, where did I see it happen before?
Yeah.
And look, I think when you're seeing a goalkeeper make mistakes, when I see Onana's mistakes to me, obvious fundamental flaws in his game that just can't be corrected. You can correct what mistake Lamens made yesterday.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? That can be worked out. You can eradicate that. But when I'm seeing Onana, like, I can't remember who it was. Was it Forrest? The ball that struck right down the middle of the goal, and he dived to the left and it went to the right, and going, I mean, I'm not quite sure what he was expecting here. I've taken more drugs than an East German weightlifter, and I would have made sure I went the right way whenever that shot was right down the middle. I'm like, what was he doing? Like, what was allowed? Do you know what I mean? You see people make mistakes. Okay, I can see what he was thinking, but I'm going, it was just so many times where you're even watching back clips now of the Champions League when United were in the Champions League last time. I'm going, how was this allowed to go on more than one transfer window? I mean, how did United start this season, with Bayindir and Onana as their goalkeepers? I mean, it is honestly a complete violation of their responsibility, an abdication of it. It's like that's criminal to me.
Yeah, if Lemens was signed in July, United might be second in the league, maybe first, or am I getting carried away?
Listen, if we didn't have Ruben Amorim,
yeah, well, that too.
They would. I don't think they'd have been out against Grimsby, and I don't think they'd have lost at home to Arsenal.
Yeah, and there was a few criminal results under him where if we just didn't have such a stubborn manager, I think it would have been different. The points dropped against Wolves. The Everton game I thought was an absolute disgrace at Old Trafford. You're up against 10 men and you play with 3 at the back. What was he thinking?
Yeah.
Well, I was waiting on him starting with 2 keepers. I was walk out here with fucking 6 at the back, 2 keepers.
Kyle, I think the best compliment I can give Lemens this season is that when he came in, I was a little bit unsure, and I thought, you know what, we'll see how this season goes because he's going to have an opportunity for that first spot. But we might need to bring in more experience and make him the number 2. Now I'm at a point where the only one that needs replacing is Bayindir.
Yeah, I think we only need to sign a number 2 goalkeeper now. Maybe we already have that player, Vitek, who's on loan Bristol City, who's been voted their player of the season, I think. We all saw that wonder save that he made a number of weeks ago. So it's up to him whether he'll want to be in his number 2 or play regularly somewhere else. We'll see what he decides in the summer. But no, Vitek, the United's goalkeeper that's on loan at Bristol.
Yeah,
he could potentially replace Bayindir.
I'd make sure the first thing on that contract is all sales are final.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when you go back to Bayindir and Onana, it made me crave for the days of Roy Carroll and Tim Howard.
Yes.
That's saying something, Jerry. As soon as you said Roy Carroll, you know what I'm thinking of, don't you? Against Tottenham.
Yeah.
But those were things, if you look even at Tim Howard, right? Tim Howard dropping that ball against Porto cost him his United career.
Yeah.
He even got away with it for a couple of weeks. You know, Roy Carroll's career was over when that Pedro Mendes shot. But for some inexplicable reason, Onana was allowed to do this every single week. I don't understand I was allowed to go on for so long.
For 2 seasons. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. Under Ferguson, Onana would have lasted about 6 games and he'd been gone.
Mate, I think. How long did Taibbi last? Like 3 games?
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 games. Yeah. That Southampton one where I think it was Letitia.
Letitia through the legs. We got battered 5-0 by Chelsea. And then weirdly, he had a man of the match performance against Liverpool.
He did, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how it was allowed to go on for so long. But
same.
Or even De Gea in his last season or 2. I mean, that was at West Ham where back pass went right over his foot in the back. And that was, I mean,
I think there was quite a bit of money spent on Onana as well at the time. Was it 50, 60 million? Something like that from Inter Milan, but
about 47, I think it was, Jerry. Yeah, close to 50, which is ridiculous, really.
Okay.
Keeping the Champions League the season before, it's just, I mean, I think Onana was so bad that you were watching him going, he can't be this bad. He has to be better than this, so he's going to get better.
Yeah.
Where it was just so bad that I was looking at him going, there's no way this goalkeeper is this bad. He's obviously going to recover some level of form at some point, show us what he is, but he just never did.
There's been some reports that he wants to come back and fight for his place, but I think sometimes people online just want to wind United fans up. There's just no way in any universe that he's coming back.
Yeah, it's not.
Maybe to gather the rest of his things.
He probably dropped him on the way out. No, he's not coming back.
So yeah, you were saying earlier that if we had Carrick at the start of the season, and if Le Mans was there at the start of the season, we could be in a title race. So when you factor that in, if we get a recruitment right this summer again, as we did last summer, there's no reason why United can't challenge for the title next season. Am I deluded? What do you think, guys? What do you think, Jerry?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously we need to get the recruitment spot on this summer and get the midfield sorted. I think we need a left back as well to replace Luke Shaw. And if we can get that spot on and get our two or three midfielders in, then I think we won't be far away. Because, like yourself and Phil were saying at the start of the show, there's not much between Arsenal and City and ourselves. I don't think we're too far off. So if we got a player of the stature of Elliot Anderson in, not only would it make a statement to City to say, look, we're taking this player, but we're also here to challenge for the title and give it a good rattle next season and see where it goes. And I don't know if any of the other lads saw a clip going around of Jamie Carragher today, where he basically scoffed at the idea of United challenging for the title next season. He was pretty much laughing down the camera at Gary Neville, which really, really pissed me off, to be honest, because why can't we challenge for the title? What makes us so below Liverpool in his head that we can't challenge for a title?
Well,
That to me is the biggest
yeah.
indicator United will qualify, will challenge for the title. I mean, the fact that Jimmy Carragher says we aren't is very encouraging.
Jamie Carragher predicted United to finish 9th at the start of the season. So that says it all.
Here's what I will say about Carragher, though. And I wish Gary Neville would take a leaf out of his book. Jamie Carragher doesn't attempt to be everyone's friend and doesn't attempt to be liked. I mean, Martin Keown has a juvenile love of Arsenal that makes him utterly pointless as a pundit because he's incapable. You know exactly what he's going to say on every question. Gary Neville does this terrible, phony shit of trying to be liked by people. I mean, I don't know. You heard him yesterday, Bruno Fernandes's tackle in the corner. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, once you go for the ankle, you're in trouble. I'm like, this fucking guy. Honestly, I can't stand people that try hard to be liked because I don't believe that Gary Neville believes what he's saying, and it's so funny. And I look at him and going, I actually feel sorry for him because he has such low self-esteem and confidence that he's afraid of Liverpool fans not liking him or other fans not liking him. So his commentary on United, I mean, he's sitting there, I'm watching him against City and Arsenal, Gabriel headbutts Holland, and his commentary, that's, he was his head, but I don't want to see him getting sent off in a game like this. Well, fuck me. He was angling to get Bruno Fernandes sent off yesterday. And I'm going, this guy, I hate him doing anything relative to United because you can see what he's trying to do. And I don't understand how someone hasn't cuffed him yet.
Yeah, he tries too hard to be unbiased when he's commentating on United games. And then you have to listen to him fawning over City, Arsenal, and Liverpool.
Let me just have one thing that, Kel, because there's very clear pointed agenda by the class of 92 towards people at United. Now, Woodward didn't want to employ them, and he was right. Remember, Giggs wanted the job, right? Didn't get it. And Nicky Butt was in there. Nicky Butt, was furious over John Murdoch getting promoted ahead of him. He didn't want the class of 92 anywhere near that football club for a very good reason. And now you see them all with their own podcasts going after Carrick. I mean, Carrick never said, the gentlemanly thing to do, the classy thing to do would be for Michael Carrick to say, here, I've taken you as far as I can, go do it. Who the fuck would do something like that? Have you ever heard such nonsense in all your life? A classy thing according to do to who? The classy thing for him to do would have been to walk out of Valencia after day one and never show his face again. I mean, there's a very point. This is why United job is so hard, because you have this ecosystem of ex-players that are constantly putting the boot in. Jamie Carragher is an ex-Liverpool player. I expect that from him. But United, there's no one worse than United's ex-players on TV.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you see, as far as Sky Sports pundits go, I actually prefer listening to Carragher's analysis more than anyone else. You know, when he breaks down the tactics of a big game at the weekend, no, on a Monday evening, when he stands up on the screen, maybe with Henri, and they're breaking down the tactics of a big game from the day before, I prefer listening to that rather than listening to Gary Neville's podcast. It's just dribble. Um, and I agree with your analysis there of Gary Neville and Carragher. I think Carragher is just someone who doesn't, as you said, he doesn't care who he offends, and he just wants to tell the truth. Whereas you said, Gary Neville is the complete opposite of that.
He's very much a fan, isn't he, Carl? So you can hear the passion when Carragher's speaking, and he's not afraid to be wrong. He's just giving his opinion, and that's it.
And I think
Yeah.
it's very much a Liverpool focused opinion as well. Everything is completely biased towards Liverpool. And have you ever heard Carragher give United an ounce of credit? Maybe the odd time, but it feels very forced when he's giving United credit. Whereas with Liverpool, it's just they could be in the worst position in the world, and he's going to be totally biased towards them. Whereas we don't have that.
Sorry, Jerry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we don't have that at our club. We maybe Rio Ferdinand or Owen Hargreaves or someone like that are the only positive ex-United players towards us.
Yeah. Rio, to his credit, he fully backs Carrick. I've heard him say some good things about Carrick.
I just imagine that's one of your ex-teammates coming out and saying that about you, right? I mean, there's clearly something very personal there. I mean, Roy Keane gets personal going after the guy's wife. That has no business being in any commentary whatsoever. And it really is embarrassing. And I love Keano, right? But it doesn't mean he's always right. Jamie Carragher went after Leeds and Martinez before he kicked the ball. And then Casemiro leaves the football before it leaves you. I mean, he's wrong all the fucking time, right? But even still, I'd rather lend Rolf Harris my laptop than listen to Gary Neville, because he is the most insufferable bastard, despite the fact that I'm not a lover of Jimmy Carragher. Jimmy Carragher is still the better of the two.
Yeah, I mean, even when United won at Anfield earlier in the season, Carragher and Henri did a tactical breakdown of the game, and I thought it was brilliant. That's the sort of punditry that I want. But clearly, Gary Neville, his tactical breakdowns aren't as good, and there's clearly.
By the way, all
ban
into that dickhead Goldbridge's platform, a platform that built itself on going after United players personally, and undoubtedly had a major impact on certain players. And I mean, Harry Maguire had a bomb threat, and I know Harry Maguire does hold them personally responsible for that, not exclusively, from what I've been told. Plus Marcus Rashford and stuff like that. What that lad has done is a disgrace, and to reward that, Gary Neville, I'm sorry, you deserve that criticism.
Yeah, Gary Neville's very much a businessman, whereas, as you said, Bruce, Carragher is just an out-and-out football fan. And I know a lot of United fans will strongly disagree with me saying this, that I prefer Carragher as a pundit, because they despise him when they say that he spits on kids and all this sort of thing, because that's what he did, what was it, 8 years ago when United beat Liverpool, but and got suspended from Sky in the process. But yeah, in general, I think Carragher is a better all-round pundit than Gary Neville. Gary Neville, as you said, is just not willing to tell the truth, and there seems to be cliques among former United players. There seem to be different groups of former United players. There's a class of '92, and then there's like Rooney, Carrick, Rio, or a different group, and it's sad to see, really. But
what's funny as well, Kyle, is the guys that spent nowhere near as long at the club that speak about us more glowingly, from the likes of Bastian Schweinsteiger to Van Persie. I love Bastian. He tweets about us every game.
I know.
I don't think he tweets about Bayern Munich as he does about United.
No, I wish we loved him as much as he loves us.
I mean, gutted when he left.
He respects the football club. That's all I ask. You don't have to arse like. He respects it. club. And to be fair, Liverpool have this too. I think that there's a certain, look at Rafael Varane. Rafael Varane, despite winning multiple European Cups for Real Madrid, you know, essentially trying to convince Tchouaméni to look at the football club. There's certain, out in Real Madrid, Ronaldo was getting the white hankies out after missing, scored 47 games in a row and then misses a 40-yarder and they've got the white hankies out. Like, it's just a different sense of loyalty. And but there's definitely where I think this is a problem. Liverpool lost their era of domination in 90s in the 90s. Average age of a referee in the Premier League is the mid 40s. That means they all grew up during United's era of dominance. And during an era where it was repeated ad nauseum, United get decisions by referees. I don't care who you are, subconsciously that plays a role in how you adjudicate things. Liverpool never experienced this. There's never been a period where they were hated like this. And there's also a fear in the media of criticizing them, because I will give them one thing. They're very unified in their response to anyone that goes in 2-footed on them. And there's a lot of people are afraid of a coordinated response from Liverpool fans if they're overly critical. United, because United in the collective subconscious of so many people in the country is loathed. There's a reward. So you're going to a VAR screen. If I give this decision, what's going to happen? Like, if referees being suggestively brought to a VAR screen are going to give exactly the same decision that their colleagues have encouraged them to, even if they're wrong. Because they don't want to be, this is just human psychology. Add into the fact that if I give this for United or give it against, if I give it for them and I'm wrong, I'll get absolutely annihilated. If I give it against them and I'm wrong.
See this idea that United got all the decisions under Ferguson is absolute fucking nonsense. I've seen there's a United page on Twitter called the United Vault, and it brings up clips from matches from the past, the last 20, 30 years, and occasionally it does, decisions that went against United. There's Jerry, you will have seen this as well. FA Cup semi-final, the first game, 1999, Roy Keane had a goal ruled out for offside, never offside. Paul Scholes in the early noughties was denied a clear penalty at Stamford Bridge. It wasn't given. There's countless amount of these. Ashley Cole on Ronaldo took him down, saved them down in the penalty area in 2004 in the Pizzagate match. Not even talked about. It's just seen as a match where Arsenal were robbed. The idea that we get all the calls under Ferguson is just complete and utter fiction. And I know there was a few that went our way, but the idea that everything went our way in that era is believed by everybody.
And in terms of that, Kyle, I don't think that's exclusive to us. I think naturally there is somewhat of a favoritism to whoever team is on top at the time.
Yeah, and we've seen Man City in recent years benefiting from a lot of decisions, and sometimes it's just absurd, how they get away with things that other clubs don't. But that's what comes with the territory.
But that's not exclusive to us. That just happens. That happens at any top level game, like any top team in Europe, even. You see that.
Yeah, we see Madrid and Barcelona. I mean, the last 20 years, it feels as if they get all the decisions in the Champions League. And I'm sure that's not the case, but it just feels that way as an opposition fan.
I'll tell you where they did go in 2-footed on United. It's different when a referee's given a decision in the heat of the moment, split second. But whenever the FA or the regulatory authorities had time to consider retribution, punitive retributive measures, what they did with Rio Ferdinand, where Rio Ferdinand got banned for 8 months when a Manchester City player committed exactly the same offence and forgot and got a minor fine. When Cantona got suspended, they had already agreed to suspend him to the end of the season. FA had everything agreed with United and then went back on their word and extended it to October. Going after Roy Keane twice for the same incident because of what he said in his book. They left United out to dry over the whole Club World Cup thing. refused to tell people that they had pressured United into not playing an FA Cup to go into a Club World Cup to help with their World Cup bid. That's where they really went in, and where public opinion swayed how they adjudicated United. And as a result, how many players have been banned for the length of time Cantona was banned for? How many times have been banned for Rio Ferdinand? I mean, the only other thing we've seen in contemporary terms is Mudryk, but no one was getting those suspensions.
And I'll also add in the Luis Suarez racism thing with Patrice Evra. How long was he given? 7 or 8 games, 10 games max. For me, racism has no place in football, and it's just as bad as committing a drug offence or whatever. So, I think United have had the book thrown at them over the years, and the likes of Liverpool and clubs like that have gotten away with a lot.
The other thing was Suarez. He used to bite people as well.
Yeah.
So that's assault.
Yeah. Here's one thing I've never seen another club get punished for. Wayne Rooney and Paul Scholes got sent off in the Amsterdam tournament pre-season and got 3-game bans in the Premier League and missed the first 3 matches of 2006 season. That's never happened
against Rangers. They sent him. They suspended him too.
What year was that, Phil? Okay. What year was that against Rangers?
It was 95, I think. He missed a penalty in that game, and got a red card at the preseason friendly, and they suspended him.
Well, if you ever known a player from another club outside of United to get sent off in a preseason game and then get a 3-match ban in the Premier League, I can't remember it happening.
No, never.
Well, that just proves our point, doesn't it? So coming back to the present day, I know, Brish, you'll be excited by this. Just this evening, I've been reading an exclusive from United District. Now, you can make up your own mind whether they're reliable or not. But their story is that Jason Wilcox is a huge admirer of Newcastle's Lewis Hall as a possible left-back signing. Hall features highly on United's list of potential targets, although the terms of the deal have yet to be disclosed. So what do you think about that, Bruce?
Get him in. You already know how I feel about him. I'm quite a big fan of Livramento as well. Big fan of both of those guys. Lewis Hall, he's very young as well, isn't he? So that'll be a long-term investment. And like Jerry touched on, it's imperative that we get a new left-back in. Luke Shaw, bless him. I think this has probably been his most consistent season in terms of just turning up. But his body doesn't do what his mind wants it to now. So it's imperative that we get a good, solid replacement in.
Yeah, a Newcastle fan was saying earlier, he's called Magpie Media, and he says, believe it or not, I'm actually a huge admirer of, I can't pronounce this name, guys. I've tried the Georgian guy at PSG. You know who I'm talking about.
Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah. He's being sarcastic there when he heard about United's interest in Lewis Hall. But I said, that's a bit different, mate, because PSG are the best team in Europe, whereas Newcastle are below Sunderland in the Premier League. So he's getting on as if
grenades at people.
He's getting on as if Lewis Hall is out of our reach. How is he? Newcastle last summer wanted Benjamin Sesko, Brahim Mbeumo, and Matheus Cunha. Guess where they ended up? And we finished 15th in the league. So do you think that with us having Champions League and them being out of Europe completely, that we can't get one of their players? Think again, son.
Yeah, especially with where they're going to end up finishing the season with no Europe and that. They might have to sell 1 or 2 of their stars.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Tonali wants to get out. What were you going to say, Phil?
I was going to say you also have the situation where the Saudis are recalibrating their investments, and they're pulling out of Live Golf, and they're reassessing a lot of their investments in sport because the return is too long. And I do wonder how that's going to affect City too, with obviously the global economy crisis. These are essentially single resource economies, and diversified a bit, but the question is, that's the whole point of the Saudi PIF fund, is diversify their economy. You just wonder, 130 million for Elliot Anderson. I mean, that's a big check to write, and that's a fee that would get almost any midfielder in the world. I don't think United should be paying anywhere near that for the lad. But you just wonder, how does that affect, Newcastle this summer? And if you look at their investment in Newcastle, it's very surface level anyway. So I think that they're very gettable out of that football club.
Yeah, we know that their captain Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali are both angling for moves this summer to one of the big clubs in Europe. So it wouldn't surprise me if Lewis Hall was willing to leave as well. And so with them being out of Europe, they will need to sell. And as you've said, Newcastle fans should be alarmed by the Saudis pulling their funding from Live Golf.
Yeah.
I know I would be if I was a member of the Toon Army. So, United 3 games left of the season, in their 40 game season. Absolutely dreadful. But next season it's going to be 60 plus, we hope. And I think even if we just consolidated third place next season and maybe won a trophy, that would be okay. But obviously, if we can, we want to move up into the top 2. But I wouldn't be shouting sack the manager if we didn't achieve that next season. I'm willing to be patient. Is that how you would see it then, Jerry?
Yeah, I think just to build on this season, it's really important that as Phil said, we finish it on a positive note. It's all well and good securing Champions League, but you want to end on a somewhat of a positive note. I always remember 2001 under Fergie, where we won the league with about 6 weeks to spare. And I think we lost the last 3 games of the season, went out of the Champions League to Bayern Munich, and people were questioning him, saying, is he the right man and all this? But obviously we're not where we were then, and we've a lot more to prove now. So yeah, I'd first of all, I'd give the job to Carrick. I think he's earned it. Give him a 1.5, 2 year deal. See how he gets on. Back him in the market, as we've seen Ineos have done. I think one thing that you can say that they haven't done is back the managers that they've been involved with so far. I think they've spent adequately and wisely. I think last summer was probably the best summer we've seen in quite a few windows. Maybe even before Ferguson retired. But yeah, I think aim for top 3 again and try and consolidate as a regular Champions League club again. And that can be our baseline. And who knows, maybe we can even challenge. But I certainly wouldn't go into next season with the sole aim of trying to win the league. I think maybe Champions League again should be probably the aim, and see how we get on. And momentum is a huge thing in football, and win your first few games of the season, and you've got huge momentum behind you. So let's see how we get on.
Yeah, if we start well, then anything's possible. But yeah, my prediction is that they'll give Carrick a 2-year contract with an option of a 3rd year. There'll be a break clause where they can, if things go south, they can sack him for just 5 million compensation. I think it'll be something like that. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, I don't think United need to worry too much about the length of the contract, in the sense that no one's going to come poach Michael Carrick. So I think the only thing they have to be careful about is making sure that if it doesn't work out, the compensation package is not crippling. So I think that you need to demonstrate aptitude to be able to do a job that's worth far more than a resume with potential. And Carrick has got United in the Champions League, which seemed impossible to me. And he's brought a calmness and a composure to the job where I would definitely, you have to be careful not to break it again. And he, in some ways, if he doesn't get the job, he took over a football club that finished in the bottom 5. He's now going to hand one over to a football club that finished in the top 5 with Champions League revenue. But in another way, his shadow is going to loom all over that new manager, because it won't take much before you start paying for Michael Carrick. It didn't take much before people started paying for Van Nistelrooy. So he's made someone else's job easier and much harder in a lot of ways. But I would give it to him.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that, and most fans seem to be on board with giving Carrick the job now. So just finally, I'm gonna pose a difficult question to you, Brush, first of all, and then the rest of you can answer it as well. Do you think Bruno Fernandes will lift the Premier League trophy as a Manchester United captain?
He certainly deserves to, Carl.
Mm.
It's been a pleasure to have him. He's deserved a lot more than what we've given him. When you look at the sheer numbers and what he's achieved with us, if he was in any other top side, he would, he'd have a glowing trophy cabinet. So it's one of those. Can we do it next season? I don't know. Like Jerry said, like for me, I'll be quite happy if we can just do this again. But it's the manner in which how we finish and play. So if we can solidly get a third place and we're comfortable just being in the Champions League again, and we build on that slowly, I'm quite happy with that. We need to make sure it's not a fluke, and build. But yeah, in the next 2 to 3 years, I definitely think the league is there for the taking. Recruitment is very important.
Yeah, I'd love to see him do a Brian Robson and win the league at the end of his Man United career. Jerry, do you think it'll happen?
I hope it'll happen. Obviously, no one can predict the future. No one knows what's going to happen in the morning, let alone a year or two down the line. I hope he stays with us, and I'm pretty sure he will. It's looking good that he's going to stay on for another year or two. All that talk of a move to Saudi seems firmly in the past now. Thank God. So, yeah, I think if we can keep building, bring in the caliber of player that we need to kick on, then definitely I think he can do it, and we can do it. And like Brushy said there, wouldn't it be great if he had his Brian Robson moment in a year or two's time? What's the 2028 mark, is it? Isn't that what Ineos were targeting for us to try and win the league? So that seems like a perfect target.
So Phil, do you think Bruno will be lifting the title in 2028 or sooner?
I think the only real threat to that is Manchester City. And if Guardiola leaves this summer, they're going to go through their Ferguson transition. I think they'll find it difficult. It's inevitable. So I think that's a very real possibility.
Especially if Arne Slot stays at Liverpool. And
I think he's probably going to get sacked. Surely they have to get Xabi Alonso in.
Please don't say that. Let him stay there for another 5 years. Yeah. So it seems like nobody sees Arsenal as a threat, despite them being top of the league at the moment.
No, honestly, I don't think they can do this again. The way they've been playing is disgusting. And I honestly, I think in the summer they're going to change the rules so you can't molest goalkeepers from corners anymore.
I think they'd finish second in the league by themselves.
Yeah.
All right, now I think thank you for having me on, Matt. I got a split. I got to do my podcast with James. So thank you for having me on, Matt.
You're a busy man.
Pleasure as always, Phil.
Cheers, lads.
Good to see you, Phil. Great to see you.
Take care.
Cheers. Take care.
All right. See you, Phil. Okay, guys, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you for your contributions, as always.
No worries.
Thanks very much for having us on, Kyle.
It's been a pleasure.
Great to finally meet you as well, Brushy.
Yeah, lovely to meet you, Jerry.
Yeah, I thought we'd get everybody on the show because yesterday was a big achievement for United, doing the double over Liverpool for the first time in a decade.
Definitely. Long overdue. We've had such a disgusting record against them as well in the last 12, 13 years since Fergie left, basically.
Yeah, it was fantastic to do the double over them and put them back in their box for a little while.
Yeah, my only regret is it really could have been a more convincing scoreline.
And
it could.
To be fair, but we never do things the easy way, To be fair to Van Gaal, he did the double over Liverpool.
Yeah. Was it when Van Gaal was here as well that Juan Mata scored that lovely goal at Anfield?
Yes.
Was that him? Yeah.
Don't you mean one field?
Yeah. he basically won every league game against Liverpool. The only time he lost against them was in the Europa League, but we won't talk about that. So we shall leave it there for today, guys. Please, everybody, smash a like in the video. If you're watching on YouTube, get subscribing to the podcast if you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on Apple or Spotify. And I will see everyone again after Sunderland.
Yep. Take care.
See you later, guys.
See you later. Thank you.